Welcome to Soul Sisteries.
Hey guys, here we are, Donna and Diana, sitting down to chat with you a little bit about one of the questions that we get asked sometime. And it's really just like, how do you get started connecting? And you've heard from us already, we've talked about mediumship a little bit and Donna's journey and mine jumping in. But I think today we just want to spend a few minutes talking about, what are some of the tools we've used or others have used to start the connection.
Yeah, absolutely. That there are those out there, like we just had a conversation with the fabulous medium Isabella Johnson that people can see in our Hope Through series. And, she lifelong, absolutely always could, connected. People were there and, it was apparent from the beginning. And we've got on that end of the spectrum. And then there are those who are starting, even mediums, even super skilled mediums who are starting from ground zero. They're not aware of any kind of connection that they have, and they dig in with the tools that are before them. So let's share some of those things. You are a really good student of all of this, sis. You have explored a lot of practice. So
Yeah.
jump in. Like, where did you start?
Yeah. It's funny because I didn't start right away with mediumship because I didn't know that was an option, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought somebody was born a medium or you were gifted, this, I don't know, this magic that everybody else couldn't have. And so I went down the path of like knowing that Kenny and David were around, but how to find them, right? So there were, various tools. I will say one of the tools I used early on, great book by Christina Rasmussen, but it's her temple journey. And it was kind of a meditation process, several steps, but kind of doing this journey to connect with your loved one. That was fabulous. Use tarot cards, oracle cards, dowsing rods, pendulums, a lot of teaching by pendulum, even, we could talk about that a little bit, the pendulum, like with the yes, no, but even the alphabet. So pointing out and spelling out words for me. What else? Guided meditation, not just the temple journey, but other guided meditations, tons that I found on YouTube, the Monroe Institute, some great ones. Some of Suzanne Gieseman's tools. I just took that dive into, remember it was 2020 and everything was online.
Yeah.
And there was so much available to me.
Yeah. And there were even mediums who were doing free sessions. There was so much. That was the time. That was the beauty of 2020, right? All the stuff that was out there, and the way that people were connecting. And I mean, you can get free guitar lessons, and like it was just all over the place. Everything that was available.
That's it. James Von Prague, very famous medium. He started hosting during the pandemic a daily series, and he was online. I think it was at noon every day, Monday through Friday, and then he had a nighttime thing once or twice a week with an amazing medium and psychotherapist Kelly White, and they did a great show together. It's still running, but they were online all the time. So there was, he was doing quick little 10-minute meditations and visualizations and stuff. And so it was really, like I said, I took that deep dive. I started doing automatic writing and a lot of meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. When you mentioned Suzanne Giesemann too, I can state her name again because she's a great resource or reference for people who are also starting sort of from that ground zero. As she did. She had a loss and began exploring and has built up quite a following and quite a renown as a completely legit medium and long waiting lists and whatnot. So,
right. Yeah. I think I was on her list for almost 3 years. Did get a reading, but and I'm looking over at my bookshelf now I can't even tell you, I probably bought, I know at least 50 books during that first year. Books that Suzanne Giesemann recommended, that others recommended. Another great book, Choosing to Be a Medium by Sharon Farber. And I've had, the opportunity to to join her mediumship circles and different training
Yeah.
groups. So
And that one's a great one because it is super practical and it really is for the novice. And as she talks about that as well, like coming from
zero.
zero and again, not only is she a practicing medium, but she teaches a lot of courses and helps others in their journey as well.
And I think that, Donna, for me, starting from zero, it was one thing to know this is possible by these amazing mediums who have been doing it all their lives. And so that, gave me hope, the knowledge that our loved one's still here, right? The
Yeah,
soul doesn't die. That was really important to me. But that didn't help me believe that it was possible for anybody.
right.
It is the stories from those who started from zero that really did make and I say start from zero, but I don't think that's true because we all have something. I
We
think
totally, we just don't always recognize what it is.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, there's tools that I found that might resonate with me but don't resonate with somebody else. And so I think my answer to what do you do is be willing to try it all. And if it doesn't speak to you, then move on, right?
Yeah.
Or if you don't find truth and value in it, then that's okay. That doesn't mean that it's not valuable for somebody else. But you know, I'll share that in a reading. I used to have regular readings to connect with my loved ones, and things were easy and they can come through. But then I remember getting several readings in a row with different people where loved ones on the other side talked about that it was kind of boring to do the same thing over and over, to
Right.
have the same medium read for you over and over, because like we are always learning here on earth, they wanted to keep learning. So it was like, try something different, go to the pendulum, go to the tarot card, go to automatic writing, try something different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's so interesting talking about this too, because that is a totally valid and worthwhile and wondrous journey. Now, the journey that I had
yes.
was I had to move through and out of fear into embrace and acceptance. And
Yeah.
and I used the tools also. That was part of that too. So they're everybody's going to be coming at this from a different place, and these different tools are valuable and worthwhile no matter what. But there's another thing that I want to mention too, because this is a fear place that a lot of people come to this practice with. And right from the outset, you use the word magic, and the
Yes.
idea of magic is so freaky to
Yeah.
many people. And there are certain religious philosophies and ideologies that espouse that those are playing with dangerous things and getting into. I, of course, don't adhere to any of that. But when I was much, much younger, I did have a lot of fear around this because I was taught things about evil and the power of
Right.
evil and what people should not play with. And I mean, that's just no part of my world anymore,
Right.
but it was deep and profound at a certain time. And when I say I had to move through it, I really did had to find a way to another side. So everybody gets to have whatever their own beliefs are. Of course, I can only share from my experience and many, 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 many others that we're talking about a realm of love and only love, light and only light, good and only good. Um, for me, I just want to say there's nothing to fear here. There is nothing that can get you, that there's nothing that can invade you, that you like don't welcome into your presence. Like
Right.
you have autonomy over yourself and your field. So there's no force that's going to take you over
Yeah.
or even wants to. So
Yeah. Right. Right. I was just thinking about you coming from the mediumship perspective and already knowing how to connect with others' loved ones, right? You've done that always. And there's, and I know we ask others that we talk to, like, can you just connect with your own loved ones? And it's a lot harder to connect with your own loved
it
ones. So
is.
then like, well, why can I connect with so and so's, grandma, but I can't connect with my own? And it is that our own mind and our own experience get
Yeah.
in the way, right? So I wonder if you could talk, because we've talked about this before, you and I. How do you, um when you connect with people, like you connect with my guy in spirit often, and you've known him well, you've known him,
Yeah.
for 30 plus years. So how do you make sure that it's not your own mind making these things up, because you know a lot about
Yeah. Well,
him?
you hear me say often, and it's
Yeah.
true, that David is really good at this. And
Right.
one of the first things that he said, I mean, I think it was the day that he died,
Yeah.
the next day, I don't know, it was
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
away. And
Yeah.
he showed me himself in this workshop, and he told me to let you know that he was going to figure this thing out and he was going to
Right.
get good at it. And you needed to figure it out. And you got like, this was his mission.
Right.
And man, is he good at it. Like,
Right.
he connects all over the place with all kinds of people. He's a go-to for
Yes.
mediums. Like he opens doorways and he just is good at doing it. And one of the things I asked him, because I needed to believe it too, I'm like, how in the hell am I going to get um evidence for you? That's not, I don't just know this. And from the outset, he found the stuff. And it was stuff and I'm sharing with you. I'm going, what the heck is this? I don't even, he gave this, but it was in this way. And he da 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 da. And you totally knew what it was. I didn't. And it was super validating for me as a medium. Like,
Yeah.
dang, that's a thing. And I learned from that also to stop doubting the stuff that gets. I get evidence for people I'm reading for that just feels so random, off the wall, weird, or even like insignificant. But
Yeah.
it's the
Right.
thing that they go, oh my God, yeah, that's so and so. And I love that so much. I love the potency of all that.
Yeah. So in my experience, what, because you've connected with David a lot for me, and you get the whole story. And I go back to what, it was 2 days after he passed away, where you were giving me all this information, and it was beautiful and lovely. And I loved receiving that information. But I also had this piece of me going, okay, and you know him and you know what
Right.
I need to hear. And so, of course, you're
Right.
going to tell me all these things, especially he's with you, he's not leaving, he loves you, those kind of
Right.
things. But then there were very specific things where you would, and I guess this is where that evidential piece comes in, right?
Yeah.
Where you would ask him, tell me something I don't know. And
Yeah.
there's so many things. I mean, I remember something that he told you that he did when he was a little boy that you had never heard that story. And it's not one that he would have shared
I
freely with
remember
us.
what it was. It was an altar boy story.
Yeah, it was. Yes. Well, he wasn't an altar boy, but it was a church story
A
that
church
took
story,
place
yes.
while he was a Boy Scout. Any Boy Scouts listening, you'll know that story. There was something about a sports team he liked that made no sense to you, but it was
Yeah,
100%.
because the colors were all weird. And I'm like, what the heck is that? What?
Yes, but
Yeah.
but he was talking about their original colors, right? And so, I mean, there were, or there's things that he tells you specifically, like something that's going on in my life right now that you don't know about. I mean, even as simple as, you know, this isn't one, but like Diana was working in the garden today. You might get that. Well, you don't know that I'm working in the garden today, but
Mhm.
he told you I
Right.
and so there's those little things. So I think for us that are just starting, when we like with mediumship, when we read for somebody else, the sitter validates for us. But how do we validate for ourselves?
Yeah.
It is that piece of, okay, honey, or okay, child, or okay, dog that I'm connecting with. You need to give me something that I can validate today or tomorrow. Like, give me that sign
Yeah.
in the grocery store that tells me this is exactly what we were talking about.
Right, which we've learned through this practice in using these tools. One of them is you can ask the question, right? You can ask
Mhm.
the question and expect that answer. Or you can throw out like, I need to see such and such. Show
Yeah.
me the purple elephant or whatever it is. And there it is. There it is in response.
Yeah.
So we are all learning and we have different, like we're better at it at different days, feeling differently. And also those in spirit, like they're not just a perfect machine or a monolith where everybody is all the same always. We're all,
Yeah.
energy expressing. And so we find our groove. And when I say like David is really good at it, he's just found ways to connect in myriad ways and using everything at his disposal and working with the earthly energies in order to electricity and we've talked about music coming through with various
Yeah.
songs. He's good at others are really good at it too, or they have their own particular thing or certain mediums and they connect because they dial into the same
Yeah.
frequency easily. I don't know. There's so many paths. My start of this and what I want to reiterate, and I guess try it, everyone, and you will discover yourself. There is nothing to fear. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing can hurt you.
Yeah.
You are autonomous. You are in mastery of yourself. Nothing will invade you or take over, which was my massive, massive fear when I was a little girl. I grew up in the era of The Exorcist, right? And that
Right.
things are getting, and I thought, through our religion, it was taught God is all powerful, but that Satan had
Yeah.
a power too.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what's a little thing like me who's so sensitive? How am I going to be protected against this force? What's going to keep me safe so I'm not in an exorcist situation, right? And then what do I do? And I lived with that massive fear day in and day out for
Yeah.
years. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, God bless that little girl that I was. I had no idea how safe and loved and cared for I was. And of course, there were a lot of things in the world, human to human, that were not safe
Yeah.
in my world also. So there was that factor as well.
Yeah.
But I guess I just want to share with others all is well and
Yeah.
you are safe and you are loved and you have guides and angels and you're so, so cared for in spirit that this is only good and loving practice. And I wish that there wasn't all this fear attached to it. It's so silly what we do. I know I'm rambling, but I want to share one other story because this was also very awakening to me. When I had my first son, Kenny, and he was a little boy, I remember going on the ride, the Haunted Mansion, with him at
Mm.
Disneyland. When I was a little girl, I was terrified of this ride
Oh,
because I thought, this craziness that we have do
yeah.
all these stories like ghosts are scary and they're out to
Right.
get us and like what the nonsense that we
Right.
tell. I was afraid of this. It was crazy that when I started working at Disneyland, they
Right.
put me on that ride and I worked
Yeah.
on that ride. Like,
Yes.
okay. So Kenny, he's just a little boy. He wanted to go on that ride and he like laughed through the whole thing. And it was such an awakening to me. Oh my God, that's right. This is funny. This is humorous. This is not meant to be realistic or taken seriously.
Yeah.
This is funny. I mean, it just really struck me. And I mean, what a teacher our children are.
Oh
So
my.
that's just it.
It-
These are human stories that we tell.
Yeah.
All the fear and the heaviness,
Yes.
the darkness around this is such nonsense.
Truly. Yeah, it truly is. Yeah. So I think really you know, the gist of this is to just get started and just pick any tool, any I was going to say medium, but I don't mean a medium in giving the reading, but I mean a medium as in a
Any
tool,
tool. Yeah.
material. Um, anything that looks interesting to you and give it a try and give it a try more than once.
Yes.
The first time it's like, okay, what is this? And explore it a little bit. And I think, again, that's how I found hope. It was just through the starting and realizing, like, oh, this thing is interesting and this is kind of helping me to connect. And there's days where I need to use the tools more than others. And then there's times that I don't. And I think it really kind of depends on what's going on in my life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Jump in, see what happens, explore, and share with us.
Yes,
what you're doing and what works for you. We'd love to hear from you also and hear what you have to say.
for
Thanks
sure.
everyone for listening, and hope your connections today are beautiful.
Get started, guys.
Thanks for joining us today on Soul Sisteries.
And thanks for sharing stories with us. We'd love to hear your stories as well and keep the conversation going, absolutely keeping the hope going. So we're really hopeful that you'll connect with our guests as well who have great stories to share. Go ahead and follow them in various social media platforms or live venues, wherever it is that they're performing and sharing what they do.
We would love to have you follow us on all of our social media platforms, subscribe and rate, as that will help us get our message of hope out to others.
Thanks for listening to Soul Sisteries.